Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the Halitrax Destination 4 bike rack carrier here on our 2018 Toyota 4Runner. So this can be a very decent way of getting a lot of bikes to that trailhead without also breaking the bank. That's only one of the main reasons I like it. I will say it's probably not the prettiest looking bike rack out there. We have a lot of straps, we have a lot of framework to work around. However, I think you'll become a bigger fan of this bike rack just like I have once you see how good of a job it actually does of securing your bike. To that end, we are going to have 3 points of contact here on our bike. That's where we're kind of getting all this extra strappage from. We have one on each of our wheels, securing it to our side cradles, which is great. But we also have a center hold here. Now, one thing I really like about these guys, we're going to have 360 degrees of rotation available to us. So whether you have a horizontal, a vertical, or a diagonal mount, just like you're seeing here today, can have a great job of actually adhering to that. And as well as this varying height that we allow to achieve, really makes it easy to carry a variety of different bikes. We're talking step-through bikes, women's bikes, kids' bikes. A lot of times those have issues. You need a bike adapter bar to give you a horizontal mount, especially in like a hanging style rack. But what's great about this, again, that 360 degrees of revolution makes it really easy to get a variety of different bikes on here. And talking about variety, here on the sides, our straps can also be moved. Now, I will say, probably not the most advantageous positions for us. We have here and we have here. Now that's really nice for your smaller wheelbases. We can move those straps in. Personally, I wish that they had a third section here to account for some of our longer wheelbases. But if you're getting your bike on here, you should still be able to use this position just as you are seeing on our bike here today. So that is absolutely something to keep in mind. We are going to have a 35-pound weight capacity per bike, making it well suited for most of the bikes out there. Now, your heavy old mountain bikes that are starting to get up there in length and weight, probably not going to be a great bet, and e-bikes I definitely stay away from. And one thing about this center frame here, I don't think it's going to completely warp and deteriorate any kind of carbon frame bike, so I'm not outright saying you can't utilize it. However, anything that's clamping to the frame of a carbon frame bike has the tendency or the ability to warp and damage that frame. Now, I think a lot of our weight's still going to be our carrier, but if I were you and you have a carbon frame bike, I might just look at a better, more premium tray style carrier that's not going to be actually touching that frame. Something like a front tire hold can be excellent. But really do like how this system works. You also are having reflectors here on the end. I love pointing that out. Not a lot of people have them on their carriers, and especially if you were like this 4Runner owner here who has a black vehicle, it might be harder to see this rack. So love that we're actually letting people know exactly where we are. That way our friends and our family get home safe, as well as the other drivers on the road. So before we get this bike off, let's take a look here and see how it's interacting with our 4Runner. Now, the Destination does sit up a little bit higher than some carriers, so you're seeing our handlebars and that rear seat post starting to get into that rear window. However, we are losing a little bit here with our taillights, especially if you had 4 bikes on there. But the distance between our carrier and our vehicle puts us in a very good spot. I think we're going to have that admittance between us. Definitely going to have no trouble seeing our brake lights, as well as having that top cowling element as well. Makes it easier for people to actually see where we are. Now, the big disadvantage I think the Destination has, though, is no way of actually tilting away from our vehicle. To get access here, we are going to actually have to take our bike off. So let's do that together. I'm going to start with this rear strap here. All I have to do, press in on this little gray lever here. That's going to allow me to release that strap. I can pull it out. I like little eye holes in here, especially when you're tightening it down. Makes it easier. That way if your hands are cold or wet, still getting good hold or grip on that strap, and you can just set it away. And let's take a look at these front grooves here on this front strap. This does a great job, this little rubber element, preventing any kind of damage to our rim. You can see other carriers not so forgiving, and I really do like how making a little bit of progress of protecting ourselves, which is great. These straps too can be kind of pushed down to the side, which is great. Makes it a little easier to actually get this mounted and dismounted. But that does bring us to our last hold on our bike. Let's make sure we're doing a good job of holding onto it. That way it doesn't tilt into our vehicle. What I like to do, you can kind of just take your offhand here, and I'm kind of pushing this frame into my center mount, and that allows me just to make sure that my bike's going nowhere. Really do like how that works. Drop that cradle, and now I can just simply get to my bike. You could walk it off the back end, lift it up, however we need to go about getting that bike off. You can, especially if you're having a little bit of trouble with those 30-pound bikes. I suggest getting that back end, lifting those rear or the handlebars towards yourself. that can really help in your assisting of getting that down. But let me tuck this guy off to the side. Mounting it becomes just as easy. The one thing I would say to look out for is going to be all these straps trying to get in your way. That's the one thing about it. The convenience really isn't there too much, but it doesn't take as much time just to run those through, especially as we are just getting it down set. And let's see if we can't get access to that hatch to do it. We need to open up this speed knob here. That lets that cam lever rest to the side. That's what's giving us that support for that center frame. And then we simply bring this down, get it in position. I love to take this extra strap too on one of our cradles and then simply run that through. And why I do that, it allows me to secure this center mass, and later on as I fold this up close to my vehicle, that's not going to be falling out and hitting right here, which is excellent. So with that cut down, I can open up my hatch here on our 4Runner. So you can see plenty of room to get that open. Now I can get those bike helmets, coolers, anything else I might need from the inside. Becomes a decent little spot too to put your feet up, change some shoes if you need to. Really do like how we have that access, albeit we are going to have to remove our vehicles, and that's just something you're kind of working with when you aren't going for those premium tray platforms. You just lose a little bit of advantages here and there, but not the end of the world just to open that up. Now let's go ahead and see what kind of dimensions we're working with here on the 4Runner. Already a long vehicle. Now one thing that's excellent though, our clearance probably going to be in a pretty good spot. Our hitch already sitting up quite high from the ground to the bottom here today. That's putting us right at 24.5 inches to the bottom of our carrier. Now the destination has a very good rise, especially towards here at the end. So even as those front wheels are going up and the back goes down, so will your hitch-mounted accessories. However, with 2 feet of clearance, I think all of us are going to be in a pretty good position. Now, if you are taking this on a little bit of uneven roads or anything like that, again, I think 2 feet is excellent. Now, if you're maybe approaching a very, very steep hill, take it nice and slow is always good. Better to be safe than sorry. That way, our bike gets there safely without any kind of interaction. But again, with 2 feet, I don't think any of us are going to run into many problems. From the back of the bumper here today to the end of our carrier, that is going to be putting us, if I can get it to sit for me, going to be putting us right at 43 inches, right to the very end there. So definitely a little length to consider, and we really don't have a way, we do have a way of shortening that down. However, when you are carrying 4 bikes, that's a lot of length to consider. Let's make sure we are being careful as we're going around those corners and as we're driving. But we do have a way of actually folding this up. To do so, we'll bring ourselves right here in the middle. Get a little retainment pin. Pull that bad guy out. And a little hand knob on here. Give you a second to see. All we got to do, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Once you reach a certain point, you can pull it out. Let that safety cable dangle. Bring up your carrier. Now, you're not going to go all the way. You might have that intuition too, but you are going to be stopping yourself just enough to start reinserting that pin. Can just take a wiggle here or there, and then secure this back in place. I do like how this speed knob works. Does a great job of eliminating a lot of that play you're going to have in this position, and that way you're not hearing a jostle behind you as you go down the road. So I do like to see that as well. Just a quick little replacement of that pin, and we are nice locked in. That's done a great job of reducing our length. Now let's see how much length from the back of the bumper we're dealing with. And I think this is going to be great for people pulling in the garage or trying to park somewhere. And yeah, that's only 17 inches now from the back of our vehicle to the wings of our carrier. Love to see that we're reducing down that length quite a lot, making this easier, like I said, to pull in the garage, or at the very least, give yourself some maneuverability when you want to park it at the trailhead. Now, moving our way down to the inside here, though, we can see we do have a 2-inch shank here today, held in by our 2-inch hitch receiver. Inside that, you're seeing a threaded anti-rattle hitch bolt. They're pretty standard across the industry, but you still love to see them. They're going to be taking all that slop, all that play that you're naturally going to have here in your receiver and eliminating it. And as you guys are going to see, as I give this a shake, it's actually moving the entirety of the vehicle. That means we're in line with our frame, making for a nicer, smoother ride for ourselves, our bike rack, but especially our bikes. You also are seeing a locking core there on the inside, securing your carrier to your vehicle when you leave it unattended. The one thing I might suggest for the Hollywood Rack's destination is going to be an extra long bike cable. That way you can actually run your bike cable through all 4 of your bikes and secure them to your carrier. That way they stay there when you leave it unattended, which can be great. I really am a big fan of the Hollywood Rack's destination. I know it's not the prettiest. It is kind of plastic fantastic. However, it does get the job done. And for a family-centered kind of biker out there, this can be a great way of making sure that everybody gets their bikes to that trailhead safely. Now, if you're asking me, maybe 4 is a little bit too much and you want like 3 or so, the Rocky Mounts monorail 2-bike platform rack with a 3rd bike extension is always a great option for people out there. If you're looking for something that's crazy cool, the Quad Envy 2.0 is always amazing. However, definitely an expensive piece of machinery when you are comparing it to the Hollow to Destination. But we do have a lot of bike racks available here at etrailer.com. Never feel too afraid to peruse for the right one for you. Really do like the Destination here, though. Just think it does a great job of getting our bikes to where we want to go. That way we can start having some fun. Otherwise, though, guys, I think that about does it for our look here today at the Hollowracks Destination 4-bike carrier on our 2018 Toyota 4Runner. I'm Bobby. Thanks for watching.
Now we're going to go ahead and take it on our test course. First, we'll start with the slaloms. This is going to show the side-to-side action. It's kind of going to mimic the movements that you'll see whenever you're driving down the road normally. Now we'll have the alternating speed bumps. This is going to be more so like the uneven roads and some of that uneven terrain you might be traveling on, and see how it holds up.